Esiet sveicināti raidījuma ciklā Uzzini pirms dodies droši darba ceļvedis Eiropā. Mani sauc Andris Segliņš, esmu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras EURES Eiropas darba mobilitātes konsultants un šī raidījuma cikla vadītājs. Raidījumos mēs apskatām jautājumus, kurus ir būtiski noskaidrot pirms došanās uz ārvalstīm, darba tirgus situācija, darba meklēšana, darba līguma slēgšana un citus praktiskus aspektus. Katrs raidījums ir veltīts vienai valstī, un šodien mēs runāsim par Itāliju. Un uz raidījumu esmu aicinājis Itālijas nodarbinātības dienesta EURES Eiropas darba konsultantu Massimiliano Melisu. Hello, Massimiliano. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. To start, let's look at the broader picture of the labor market. How you describe current labor market situation in Italy, and which industries or sectors are currently experiencing the highest demand for workers?
Well, hello again, and thank you for inviting me to represent Italy. Well, the labor market in Italy has been improving in recent years. Unemployment is currently under 6%, but it really depends on the region, or better say, on the macro area. Generally, it is lower in the north of Italy and higher in the south. There's a quite strong demand in sectors like tourism, hospitality, construction, healthcare, and also IT. I mean, it's the general shortages that are across Europe, but also seasonal work is very important, especially in tourism and agriculture. So there are so many opportunities during peak seasons in this sector.
So maybe you can describe differences between your regions, for instance, northern, central, and southern regions in terms of job opportunities.
Well, let's say that there are basically the same opportunities in all the three macro areas. Probably industry much more in the north, and when it comes to tourism, the center and the south of Italy is quite very important, especially also in agriculture. But the differences are depending on, as I said, on the unemployment rate, which is a little bit higher when it comes to the south respect of the north. But opportunities can be found in all the regions. You have to expect also, but maybe we'll talk later about that the prices, for example, for the rental house can be higher in the north and lower in the south. So there are so many aspects to it to bear in mind or to have in consideration when you decide which part of Italy you would like to move. But opportunities can be found everywhere. Sorry. Okay.
Yes, you already mentioned this tourism sector, and Italy is well known for tourism. And maybe we can talk a little bit about seasons, because I know that you have also winter season tourism and summer season tourism. Which jobs typically are available in these seasons?
Well, let's say probably the summer season is the most important because it's come across to all Italy. When it comes to the winter season, there are some regions in the south that it can be described as a specific winter season in tourism aspect, the tourism aspect, sorry. But the opportunities can be, I mean, everything that comes, it is related to tourism and accommodation. So for the hotel staff, for the managers, for the animation, and all the profession, all the roles that are more or less related to the tourism or the accommodation in general can be found all across Italy. There's no specific position that comes in a specific area, but you can find in all Italy. I mean.
And when we're talking about this summer tourism jobs, what is your recommendation? When should someone start to look for some jobs for summer season?
Well, the season is already started. So let's say that when it comes to the summer, probably the best time is start from February, March, but you can find opportunities even right now or even when the season has already started. There are some positions usually are express shortages, so you can find, I mean, during all the time, but the best time to approach is absolutely from February, March, April till the end. And also the season depends on the area, because in the south, for example, it's considered also in September, October, it's still summer season. I mean,
A long summer season in
yeah.
some regions.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move on job search practical side, and what are most effective ways to search for a job in Italy, and which job portals or platforms are most commonly used?
Well, the best approach in Italy is to combine, I mean, the online job search with networking. So an important tool is, of course, the EURES portal, especially for international candidates. But there are also national platforms like Click Lavoro, as well as private websites such LinkedIn or Indeed. But it's very important to bear in mind that Italy is divided in regions, and each regions manage the labor policy basically autonomously. So every region got its own portal where you can find the regional job opportunities. I know that it sounds a bit complicated, but it's not that complicated as it looks like. It's important when you're looking for a job in Italy to not think just to a general place in Italy, but having in mind already which region or at least a macro area would like to look for. So at the same time, the personal contacts can really make a difference in Italy. So networking shouldn't be underestimated when you're looking for a job.
That means at first the job seeker should think about maybe a region where he or she would like to search for a job, and then there will be resources for that specific region where is job vacancies.
Yeah, because on Click Lavoro, for example, you find several job opportunities, but that's not of course, the opportunities in Italy. So if you, for example, have an idea I would like to work in the north of Italy, I would like to know the south, to take a look at the region and search for the regional website, and then you find 100 of opportunities for each region. So that's the best approach.
Yes, and I know that in Italy you have a lot of small and medium-sized companies, even family-owned companies. How they are recruiting?
So that's true, but as I said, even if the company is small or medium, they have often they have their own website at the public, also the offers through the job portals when they're looking for a job, or sometimes even in the specific section of newspapers or national newspapers when they're looking for a specific job. And so it's not that difficult. Even I know that it can sound complicated because you think it's a very small company, so maybe they just recruiting, asking for some people from the personal networking, but it's not that way, because usually they have their own website, they recruit from the website, or they ask for help to the past, so you can find the opportunities in the regional website. It's easy.
And how about social networks, for instance, about LinkedIn, Facebook? Are they used also for publishing vacancies?
Yeah, it's used, but for example, even EURES Italy is its own Facebook page where displays some offers that comes from specific areas or sectors, or so also social media are absolutely useful.
I mean, also let's take to attention also to social media, and also mentioned the internet platforms and job search ways and resources.
Yeah.
Okay, then once candidates find a job, then application process begins. And what is the standard CV format in Italy? How long should it be? And what is your recommendations?
Well, in Italy, like almost, across Europe, the CV should be definitely clear and concise. So usually 1 or 2 pages, no more. The Europass format is widely used and it is well recognized. So you should include your work experience, education, and the key skills like languages and digital skills. Adding a photo, it's quite common in Italy, but it's not mandatory. And but I feel free to say that it's often appreciated.
And I believe that regarding photo, it also depends on sector or vacancy which you are
Definitely,
applying.
definitely. So if you apply for be a model, of course you need.
Yes, and of course, photo should be
And
formal to
yeah,
show
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
personality. Uh, Also regarding this application, which skills and experiences do Italian employers value most? Maybe.
Well, it depends on the position, but my general advice is to tailor the CV and also the cover letter to the position you're looking for. If you have a wide experience in several sectors or um, even the same sector, but you have to be, as I said, concise. So be focused on the specific requirement from the job application and tailor your CV and your cover letter um, in order to apply for the kind of position, the specific position. So you don't have to describe all your experience. You have to describe all your soft skills or your skills in general, but the one that are requested for the specific position.
I mean, job seekers should carefully read this vacancy publication and
Absolutely.
follow requirements which are employer sure. And regarding motivation or cover letter, is it usually required in Italy, or also it depends on company size, or it is already written in this job publication?
Well, to be honest, the cover letter is not as common as other countries, but it's beginning to be appreciated. Like it doesn't have to be a long, long letter. It doesn't have a letter that explain what is not clear in the CV, or maybe to give some more information that could be useful to let the company understand what kind of person are you and what is your motivation for that specific position. So it's quite appreciated, even if it's not that common than other countries in Europe.
Okay. And then let's move to languages. And the language is always a big topic. And how important are Italian language skills for finding a job?
Well, you know that Italian is the fourth most studied language in the world, spoken apart from Italy in Switzerland, Vatican City, Republic of San Marino, and Western Istria. A knowledge of Italian is often essential, especially for roles involving customer interaction or a specific sector, for example, healthcare. However, there are opportunities also for non-Italian speakers in sectors like tourism, IT, engineering, and multinational companies. But newcomers can learn Italian through the Public Adult Education Center, the CPIA, private language schools, online platform apps, and so on. So, as I said before, even if when you're looking for a job or you want to improve your opportunities or your job prospects, personal interaction is very important. Personal networking is important. So investing in language skill significantly improves your job prospect and integration. That's, quite obvious and important. So learn a basic Italian, even some gesture. I'm trying to force myself to not move my hands too much. I know it's a stereotype, but it's also true. So learning quite a little bit of Italian, it's important to start.
For those who are planning to stay in Italy for long term, what level of Italian would you recommend to achieve?
Well, to study from my also personal experience, I mean, when I moved abroad, uh, you have to start with, I mean, it depends on the position, but it's when you are in the place, then you learn faster than stay at home and try to learn with interaction with the eye or other tools. So it really depends on the position you're looking for and for how long are you intend to stay. So I can suggest a specific level of knowledge. It depends on the position. Because, for example, as I mentioned before, for the healthcare, you have to start with with a certain level. You can't start with just say like hello or buongiorno, but you have to know a specific vocabulary also because it's important for your job. It's essential. So it really depends on the position you are looking for.
Thank you. And now let's imagine someone has just arrived in Italy, and what documents and registration should be done first? I know that very important is this your tax number called Codice Fiscale, yes,
Exactly.
and maybe some other important administrative steps after arrival.
Well, for EU citizen, the process is quite simple. Okay, if you stay longer than 3 months, you should register your residence. But in order to sign any kind of an employment contract, rent a house, open a bank account, you need, as you said before, the Codice Fiscale, which is our national tax code, which is an alphanumeric code, 16 characters for residents in Italian territory. It is a sign when you arrive in Italy, you ask for it at the Italian Revenue Agency, which is called Agenzia delle Entrate. And it's a personal document that contains information of a fiscal and health nature. So, and it allows you to access to various public services. So it's quite, let's say, mandatory because it's quite important to have it because you need it for every kind of things you have to do in Italy. And once you register with your local municipality, if you need it to access all the public healthcare system, which I hope you don't need it, but just in case, the Codice Fiscale is quite important. But it's very simple to obtain it.
That means that as you said, and I also me said that very important is this tax number, and it's the first thing to do when you arrive in Italy. Maybe from your experience, is there anything else people often forget but shouldn't when they arrive? Maybe from your experience.
Well, as I usually said, Italians love papers, so bring all the documents you think you will need just in case. But no, I think that apart from the personal documents in terms of I mean nationality or healthcare, you don't need nothing more. Very important. Then ask for the Codice Fiscale, and with that you can do, I mean, almost everything.
Okay. And let's talk a bit about employment contract and working conditions. What types of employment contract are most common in Italy?
Well, you have, of course, the permanent open-ended contracts, the fixed-term contracts, apprenticeship, seasonal contracts. I mean, all the we have to know that in Italy there is no minimum wage, and but the working conditions are regulated by the national collective agreements. So typically the working hours are around 40 hours per week. The paid annual leaves are at least 4 weeks. The overtime is compensated, and the salaries vary by sectors and experience. But as I said, they are regulated by the national collective agreement. What is very important when it comes to contract is to bear in mind that it have to be written. Everything has to be written. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. So ask for it, look for all the details of the information that contains the contract, ask for help if you think that something is not clear. EURES advisor are here for that. And but as I said, no minimum wage, but everything is regulated by the national collective agreements.
That means that very important is to conclude written employment contracts.
Yes. We're not just friends and let's say on the words, but everything has to be written.
Okay. And finding a place to live is always also a big step. And what are the best ways to find accommodation in Italy?
Well, let's say that housing can be found through online platform. There are different platforms, private like Immobiliare, Idealista, and so on. But also social media groups. Social media can be very helpful, and local agencies. Also, from the newspapers, you can find accommodation. What you have to bear in mind is related to the cost of the accommodation, because the cost can vary widely. In large city, for example, Milan, Rome, can be quite expensive. For example, one bedroom apartment can cost from 700 to 1,200 per month. In smaller city and southern region, the cost is definitely lower, 400, 700 per month. So it really depends on the area. It's not that, and I also would like to add that sometimes in the touristic areas, especially in the south, can be hard to find accommodation for 1 year around, because of some accommodation are rented for tourists in specific time of the year. So you have to be careful what you're looking for. As I said before, when you're looking for a job in Italy, you have to bear in mind also this information, because the accommodation can have a lower rent in the south with respect to the north, even if the prospect of jobs are higher in the north and the south. So there are different aspects there to take in consideration.
And what is your experience? Do your employers provide some help in finding accommodation, or provide accommodation in some sectors maybe?
Yes, that's a good question, because it happens, especially when it comes to the tourist sector. There are different companies that offers in the contract. There are also the accommodation and sometimes the meals included in the contract. So you have to ask also for this kind of information when you sign a contract. But it depends on the sector. I can't say common, but it often happens when the tourist sector and accommodation in general, because also the company sometimes have hotels and they have the building where they can, let's say, offer to the workers.
Thank you. And of course, I would like to ask about everyday life and everyday life costs. How would you describe overall costs? Maybe some examples.
Well, as I said again, it depends also from depending on the city, the area in general. But let's say that, for example, a coffee, the cost of a coffee vary from €1 to €1.50. A meal in a non-expensive restaurant from €15 to €25. A cinema ticket from 8 to 12. Monthly public transport from 30 euros to €50. But food quality is high in the local markets, often fresh and affordable products. So it really depends on the area you are living.
And of course, it depends on your daily how you would like to prepare your dishes and so on. and
Yeah,
what
yeah,
your,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you decide to, I mean, to cook for your home, it depends on going to an expensive restaurant on a fancy restaurant every night. Of course, it really changed.
Yes. And to finish our conversation, I would like to ask, what do you think people enjoy most about living and working in Italy?
Well, that's a tricky question. I mean, no, I can say that why choose Italy? Why live and work here? Well, because from my point of view, it's not only about work. It's really about lifestyle. I mean, Italy offers an amazing cultural heritage, a great food, I have to say, but also a pleasant climate. And there's a good work-life balance. I mean, and uh, from my perspective, from my point of view, I also see that things are also changing in that direction. I mean, to find the perfect work balance. I mean, what important is not just to work, but also to live it, enjoy your life, and to interact with people. And so, I mean, it's a great opportunity to gain international experience, to improve language skills and enjoy and a very unique quality of life.
I will say thank you, Massimiliano, for sharing your experience and tips about living and working in Italy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Paldies arī mūsu skatītājiem par dalību raidījumā. Un, ja jums rodās papildus jautājumi par darbu meklēšanu un darbu un dzīvošanas nosacījumiem, arī pabalstu jautājumiem vai starpvalstu nodokļu jautājumiem, dodoties uz ārvalstīm vai atgriežoties no ārvalstīm Latvijā, tad aicinu sazināties ar mūsu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras EURES konsultantiem, kuri sniegs jums nepieciešamo informāciju un konsultācijas. Paldies vēlreiz un uz tikšanos nākošos raidījumos!